How's it going? Pastor Andrew coming at you with another thought of the week. As many of you know, the last 2 weeks I spent out in Salina, Kansas, doing the Officers Candidate School program for the U.S. military, learning to be an Army officer. And it was a very fun and humbling experience. I learned a lot, but as I was going through all of that, I remember I thought a lot about this on the bus ride home this last weekend. And the biggest word that came to my mind was the word resilience. One of the struggles at Officers Candidate School was the ability to make decisions, the ability to drive on when you're only getting 3 to 4 hours of sleep a night and all you wanted to do is just lay down, take a nap, or even some people quit. And it was very difficult, it was hard. Hands down, one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. But one of the things they instill in you is resilience. Being able to tough out the hard times, knowing that it's only temporary. When we started back a couple of weeks ago, that was kind of our theme, was you can do anything for 2 weeks. You can endure any sort of pain and suffering for 2 weeks. You'll make it. And long story short, I made it. Our whole class, except for 2 people, made it. What if, though, we were to apply that thinking to our Christian life? Because I don't know about you, but for me, living a Christian life is not a walk in the park. It requires me, it requires all of us to be resilient to the world. It requires us to keep pressing on, even when we don't want to some mornings. Some Sunday mornings we wake up and all we want to do is keep sleeping. All we want to do is spend time with our family, go out for breakfast, go and not go to church. But the thing is, it's those days, it's those times where I wholeheartedly believe God is building us up. Our faith is getting stronger. It's like any other relationship out there. When we go through hard times, it's when we are kind of grinding against somebody else. It's during those times that relationships ultimately get stronger, during those tough times. As I think about resilience, spiritual resiliency, I can't help but think about the Apostle Paul, the guy that went through all of these trying times, being stoned in multiple cities, surviving a shipwreck, having to go head to head with the disciples of Christ, and pressing on, continuing to spread God's word, telling people that were very adamantly against Paul and his teachings of Jesus Christ. But Paul still drove on. Paul still took the time to tell them about Christ. No matter how many roadblocks or pitfalls that Satan threw in front of Paul, he continued to drive on. What if we had that same mentality in our Christian walk? What if we allowed ourselves to continue to drive on when times are hard? When we don't want to? Because I don't know about you, sometimes I want to take a break. As awful as that sounds, and I think we all think that, but we don't necessarily ever want to admit it. There's times where it's like, God, I need some space. I need some me time. But the problem is those are the times that we need God the most. The times that we think we can do it without Him. Are the times when we need to realize of, oh man, God, I need you. And instead of running from God and taking a break from God, we run to Him and we spend time in His Word. We spend time on our knees in prayer to be built back up. You know, one of the things that I missed about being in the military, being away for a period of time. Again, so it was only 2 weeks, but not having a phone, not having any access to the outside world, not being distracted. As awful as it sounds, I really enjoyed not being on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all of that stuff and seeing all the negativity in this world. and used that time to take a break from the world. And it was amazing how in all of these hard, struggling times, my faith grew. I was praying a lot more. I wasn't distracted by all this other stuff. It was a humbling experience to teach me and tell me that if I'm going through a hard time, there ain't no way I can do it on my own. I need God. Because a lot of times when we're trying to be resilient, when we're trying to be strong, we rely on things of the world to get us through. It was an interesting, one of the things that you're not allowed to have at OCS is caffeine. No coffee, no soda. They even take your caffeine gum out of your MRE. You weren't allowed to have it. And it amazed me how much I rely on caffeine. But that was taken away, and for a short time, it was a learning curve of going, oh, how do I do this? But you know what? I did it. I made it. We use all this other stuff to get us through life, when in reality, all we need is God. Is it going to be hard? Absolutely. Is it going to be challenging? Absolutely. But the thing is, the reward is so great. Like I said, the theme was we can do anything for 2 weeks. What if we applied that thinking to our Christian life? Because we have this thing in this world called eternity. It goes on forever and ever. If we can do it for eternity, if we can live for eternity, we can make it 40, 50, 60, 70 years, however long we have on this earth. 60, 70 years is minuscule in the eyes of infinity. So, ask yourself that question this week. How am I being resilient to this world? How am I using God in my life to strengthen me? How am I relying on God to get through these hard times? I don't know about you, but the last few months have been tough. Have a good week.